Yo guys, I'm Niek from the Produce School and welcome back to a brand new video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make music like rising star Alex Wann. Alex Wann is a DJ and producer hailing from Paris, and he has gained notable attention in the electronic dance music scene with his unique blend between Afro and deep melodic house. Last year in August 23, he released his first track, which is a remake of the legendary track Milkshake, and he basically got support from the biggest DJs all over the world instantly, which marked the beginning of his project. Starting from there, he started doing many more releases, including an official remix for Adriatique, so you can really say that he has blown up in a really short time span. Today I'm going to take you through all the elements that are vital for his signature sound, ranging from the Reese Bass to the hard percussive toms. For now, it's enough talking and let's dive straight into the video. So we start with the first element of the style, and I want to talk about the Reese Bass. I will just first demonstrate the Reese Bass that I'm talking about, and then I will kind of dive into the sound a little bit. So the Reese Bass sounds like this. Really warm and full sounding Reese Bass, and it basically consists out of two layers inside Serum, which is this layer in oscillator A, which has 6 voices of unison and around 0.18 detune, and the wavetable that we chose was the I Can Has Kick, which is basically a random digital wavetable, but it worked for this sound. And this is basically the top of the sound, so really the harmonically rich kind of Reese, and it's really important that this is filtered a lot, otherwise it would be way too sharp, so really bring it down to like 200 hertz, and then you get kind of rid of the sharp edge on the sound, but you still are left over with a harmonically rich body. In the global section, turn down the width to 30, which kind of gives you that analog kind of feel to the sound. Then oscillator B is a simple sine wave, which functions as your constant sub layer here, and together that just gives you a really full sounding Reese sub bass. Envelope 2 is shaped really subtly and linked to the cutoff as well, to give a bit of attack to the sound, but this is all really minimal. Now you need to let this Reese Bass play a really simple 4 bass note pattern, which in this case I came up with this one, including 2 glide notes here and here. And the reason why I demonstrate this sound first is because creating a bass line like this is so straightforward and easy that for me it's basically the easiest way to start, because now you have this bass line which sounds good, then you can basically start building your chords on top of this, and you can build your top lead on top of that. So it basically feels like a real natural process, to me at least, because I can imagine that some people just want to lay down some chords first, but for me this works really well in this style. For the effects, I want to keep it simple for this one, so just some distortion here, really subtly, with the mix set to 25%. Just a Harmor Classic distortion preset in Destructor, which is a native FL Studio plugin. And then a pretty harsh sidechain set to 100%. Really leave us room for a punchy kick that I will show you guys later on in this video. And that's basically it for this right now. So for me, really functions as the main element from where you can start building this whole track. Next, on top of this, we want to layer a piano. And we'll be layering a stage ground piano from the stock plugin and a closed ground piano. Create a really full sounding piano. So on top of the bass notes, I came up with this chord progression, and right now it seems like there are a lot of notes, but basically these are just copies of the bass notes. And then for the rest, the chords are really, really straightforward. So for example, here we have a G as a bass note, and as you can see, this is simply a G minor chord with a chord inversion 1 octave down. It's basically created a minor chord and created this inversion together with a little rhythmic layer right here. Same goes for this, a really straightforward C minor chord. Then a D major chord with a chord inversion once again. And then an F major chord with a G put in between it as well, which is a very common technique in this style to kind of blend the whole chord progression together. Since we have a G here, a G here, and a G here, we just put it here as well to create one cohesive chord progression. For the processing, we do it kind of subtly because we want to keep the natural sound of the piano. So in this case, a pretty subtle low cut and a pretty subtle high cut, because we really want this to be the mid-focused sound in our arrangement. So the highs, we carve out some space for the top melody and for the hi-hats and shakers. And here we leave some room for the bass. Then there is some reverb to kind of push it to the back a little bit. And then there is some sidechain set to 40%. Again, we want to keep it natural, but of course you need some sidechain just for the purpose of a clean sounding mix. Simply copy these chords into a pad sound as well to fill up even more of the mid and high mid area. And in this case, I've chosen for a backgroundy saw pad, which sounds like this. And there is a low cut on it, once again for obvious reasons. And the sound itself is a saw wave and this GS cello, which kind of resembles a cello, I think. However, it just works for this kind of pad. And as you can see, the swell effect is achieved here by adding a lot of attack, but then kind of moving the shape of the attack like this. So it gradually fades sound. Also quite some reverb to really push the sound back in the mix and really make it more of an atmospheric element, basically. Now next up, I think is one of the most important elements together with the Reese Bass, which is a top lead / plug. And in this case, I'm using this sound called Tundra from the Savannah pack, which is basically a Juno-inspired top lead. Really nice and simple sound. Basically consists out of 2 Juno saw wave layers with a short envelope with some release, and this is linked to the MG Low 18 filter, which gives you that really kind of plucky big sound. Some Juno noise layer, some chorus, we try kind of to emulate the Juno chorus, some delay, reverb, and a little EQ. So really simple and straightforward, really effective, because I just have to press one note in a certain rhythm and it immediately starts giving you kind of the feel. So in this case, G is our root note. So you create a little rhythm with it, and then you will immediately get this Alex Wann kind of feel, overall Afro House feel, basically. This lead just really makes super big and wide, and it's a really simple element, but it just adds a lot to it. So on top of the lead, I can add another plug, kind of enhance the rhythm even further. So instead of really making it melodic in this case, we're using these plugs and these leads to kind of create a rhythmic complexity in the track. And for that, I will be using this plug called Cliffs, which is the easiest, most straightforward saw synth there is. Really short, which really gives you that snappy vibe, and some automation to the fine tune. And as you can see here in the ghost notes, I still have the main lead open, accentuate the notes that you have and add some notes in between. And this creates some kind of rhythmic interplay. So together that sounds like this. Really subtly, but it's just one of these little ear candy kind of things that you can add. Next up, it's really interesting to take a look into the drums. Drums are also one of the parts where Alex Wann kind of distinguishes himself from other Afro House artists, because he kind of tends to use a bit harder elements which tend to lean more towards kind of melodic house sounds. So to demonstrate that, I will show you the drums for this track, which together sound like this. And first we can take a look at the kick, which is more of a punchy melodic house kick than really those soft and subtle Afro House kicks. So really snappy attack and just a punchy kick in general. And then this is the most crucial part of this style, and those are these hard hitting tom sounds, and they sound like this. And then first of all you have this layer which is a tom, following the same rhythm as the top lead, once again with some notes in between. For example, here you have a little rhythmic variation with some velocity, which can create a more interesting effect. And then there's this snare for some top end layered on top of it, and together they sound like this. On top of that is a transient processor, because it got a bit too harsh, so the attack is brought down a little bit. There is some reverb, just a little bit of room to kind of add some depth to the sound. And then this subtle EQ over here. And this is layered with another tom sound, so basically just a really standard drum computer tom. Together with the kick, this creates a really full in-your-face kind of drum pattern already. All kind of mid-high, mid-focused, so therefore we also introduce some more heads and perks that really help you to fill up the higher frequencies. These are all elements from our Savannah pack if you want to check out these loops and these drum samples, as I think that they are really useful. So with all the elements discussed, let's now fast forward to the full arrangement, which is going to look like this. And as you can see right here, I added some FX elements, which are really straightforward, just like any other track. Some atmosphere, some ambience, some sweeps, especially here in the build-up, some transition sounds, also some more organic ones like this. Basically a huge part of this is just sample selection, as well as these toms that I just showed you. If you don't use the right sample, it will never really get to the point that it sounds really nice, and then it will kind of feel a bit forced. So make sure that you use the correct sample, and basically don't stop searching for a good sample until you really find a sound that gives you like this idea of, alright, this sounds good, let's now mix it, blend it in, and have something cool. Which is basically the case in most instances. It's a really good thing to always remember. Then to make it a bit more interesting, I've added this vocal, which is not specifically a real Alex Wann vocal, but it just fits the vibe. You're a star, shining star. Which is also from the Savannah pack, and it has some EQ and some reverb on it. The overall arrangement is pretty straightforward as you start building slowly with a short kick, and the bass is still filtered, and then towards the drop you kind of start opening up the bass, you start opening up the cutoff, you start slowly introducing the piano, the pads, the lead. So basically you are building towards the drop all the time, and then here it becomes a bit more clear. You introduce those risers, the vocals, etc. Here the toms are introduced really subtly with a filter, and then the more you move towards the main drop, let's put it like that, the more you open them up and the more of a climax you kind of create. So that was it for all the elements of this video. If you want to check out the project yourself for FL Studio, Ableton or Logic, you can get the Savannah pack in the link in the description, which includes all the sounds as well as the projects. So this will really give you a chance to look into it more in depth. But I tried to kind of cover all the main elements in a short video like this already. And let me now play the end result of the track.
Oh darling, you can be everything you want it. If you put your mind and work in it, you're a star, you're a star, a shining star.
Alright, so that was it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this tutorial. And if you guys have any questions or suggestions for more Afro House tutorials, make sure to leave a comment down below. We will probably still be doing 1, 2 or 3 Afro House videos approximately, as we will then be moving on to our new melodic techno pack and start doing more tutorials on that genre once again, as many of you have asked for that as well. As I told you guys, if you want to check out the sounds used in this video and many more, head over to the link in the description to our website to find all the details you need. And for now, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I see you guys in the next video.